Most of the SOC investigation processes start with alerts today. How do you see this flow in our customers' environments?
For most customers of any real size, they're flooded. Alert fatigue is something that we've heard about for years. It's very real. It's not getting any better. If anything, it's getting worse. We tend to see customers running their SOC like an assembly line. They have a large queue of issues they need to address, of which they don't address all of them ever on any day. And what that leads to is a long tail of unsolved items that could all turn into a nuclear bomb at any given time inside your environment, which is not a great place for us to be. A lot of this is driven by shortcomings in downstream security products that are a lot more vocal than they need to be so they can show value inside of an environment. Also in the way that we're handling things inside of a SOC. I think that MTTR, MTTI, these time-based estimates for value in a SOC are driving exactly the wrong behavior. So they force us to pick up an alert and finish it as soon as possible, because that, as an analyst, is how I'm being judged, compensated. And that's a very dangerous place to put them in, because it's exactly the wrong kind of reward structure that you want to put in place for analysts. What they'll end up doing is taking a case from a given technology and they'll investigate it when they have to, and it isn't already solved out earlier in a process for them. And they'll do a very narrow, precise assessment so they can move to the next issue. Quite problematic, because generally speaking, any alert you get is a signal that's tied to other signals. And if you don't have time or the capability to search across an entire estate for those things, what you do is close out an aspect of an event that's still ongoing. And that's to no one's benefit. The odds are that many of those cases will just be noise. So they're not going to see this culminate in a breach every day, but it will end up in breach at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. So the current practice is more about getting an alert, validate that it's a real case and continue investigating, or disprove that this is the alert and then move on.
False positive management is a huge driver, but even when they find out it's a true positive, they usually try to figure out the narrowest set of decisions to finish out with this issue. Recycle the user's credentials, add new firewall rules, and then move to the next issue, rather than saying the user's identity has been compromised. What did they do before I discovered this? Is there any other attendant data that I need to be aware of because the scope might be larger? They don't have the time for that. And even if they did, they're being judged in a way that makes them move through it very quickly.
Because we're incentivizing analysts to go faster without focusing on quality and potential expansion of scope, we're pushing them to smaller scopes so they can run faster, which may not deliver the best results.
And so here's the thing. I don't think that you're going to take 15 or 20 years of SOC metrics and change them overnight. Technologies need to exist to let those analysts investigate those cases much more broadly in the same period of time. You can fight the machine if you like, but it'll be a losing battle. It's more effective to give them the tools they need to find scope quickly, articulate risk in a way that's actually thoughtful and broad, and then move on to the next case. But they will continue to get judged on number of alerts, if for no other reason than the security products they've bought will continuously spew massive volumes of alert data at them. There has to be a solution downstream that's realpolitik, pragmatic about it.
How can some of the recent technologies like AI for SOC help both with the triaging part, but also with the thorough investigations? How can we relieve analysts from this stress and from this high-speed chase?
AI technology today has the capability to take extracted data from multiple platforms, quickly assess relationships and risk, and give the analyst a coherent picture of what they're working with at speed, even if the analyst is not familiar with all of the data they have to be able to pull in, which is another problem they're faced with. You have limited SME expertise across different platforms. I think that is probably one of the strongest advantages in the SOC that AI can bring, to take these disparate data sources together, draw a narrative, come to a conclusion, and allow the analyst to vet through it, or even allow teams of analysts to review that outcome and decide whether they think it's real or not, and then move to response. Where it comes to correlation, I think there's many technologies that can address that. They don't have to be AI focused. I don't want to say it's table stakes because it's obviously a very hard problem, but there are a lot of ways to correlate large volumes of data. Analyzing, making sense, and building comprehensive reporting and outcomes that an analyst can understand, AI thrives at that.
How can Command Zero help in such a case, especially through the analysis of these cases?
We focus the platform around understanding that if you're dealing with an alert, you know something's wrong. The system is built in a way that it immediately tries to find evidence of that elsewhere inside the estate. And they can do that very quickly to allow you to set scope immediately. You can know if that endpoint alert is not representing activity inside of WSEC2 or inside of Okta, Enter ID, SharePoint, or whatever it might be. People are not doing them because they don't have the time. It allows you to show scope quickly. And when there is activity that's mapped, it allows you to tell you precisely what happened and give you a path forward to remediation or on what you need to do. I think that will continue to be a focus for us, as well as other things using Gen AI. That specific use case is extremely powerful.